They excel at science, politics, and espionage. Their intellect puts most others to shame. They can hold the line. The Salarians are a far more interesting species than many give them credit for. Now you're probably thinking, Salarians? Really? They can't possibly be that interesting. And you would be completely out of line. You clicked on the link, so accept the consequences. Let's talk about the Salarians. Closely resembling the typical little grey man alien stereotype, the amphibious Salarians have two bulbous eyes set in a tall skinny head. Atop the head lies two horns, which appear to be fleshy, but may contain actual bone. However, while Salarians are hardly invertebrates, their anatomy contains a large amount of cartilage, as opposed to just bone and muscle. This makes sense considering how slender their frames are, and owing to both factors, they are not as soft as other races such as humans and Asari. Salarians as a race also have a notably high metabolism. As a result, everything they do tends to be much faster than other races. They talk fast, move fast, and one would assume mate fast. Unfortunately, their fast metabolism also means they are relatively short-lived. It is rare for Salarians to live past the age of 40, and because of this, or perhaps vice versa, they have different views on mating. Their sex drives are not hormone-based, meaning Salarians do not view sex as humans do, rather seeing it as for reproduction only. It should also be noted that Salarian females are relatively rare. Mating and the fertilization of Salarian eggs are rigidly planned out in order to not only maintain the population, but ensure that a certain number of females are born, since unfertilized eggs produce males and fertilized eggs produce females. Also, breeding is handled in a similar way to arranged marriages, as the families of the two involved in interbreeding join together in political alliances. Salarians appear to be at least as old as humans as a species, having been thriving on their home planet of Surkesh even during the time of the Protheans. Like humans, they were much more primitive at the time. Unlike humans, as far as we know however, certain body parts of the Salarians were considered delicacies to the Protheans.
I prefer my Salarian liver served raw.
He is correct. It was a delicacy in our cycle.
Even before discovering any other civilized races, the Salarians were already incredibly adept at espionage and intelligence. One particular group to note was known as the League of One. Never having more than a dozen members at a time, the League specialized in spying and wet work. They were very secretive, and only a small number of government officials knew of their identities. The Salarians discovered the Citadel mere decades after the Asari, who were the first of the current cycle to find it. As a gesture of goodwill to the Asari, the Salarians offered all records pertaining to the League of One. Shortly after, all members of the League disappeared, and soon after that, all government workers who knew of their identities mysteriously died. The Salarians are praised by many and lauded by the rest for their creation of the genophage, a manufactured genetic condition that drastically increased the number of stillbirth in the Krogan species. During the Rachni Wars, the Citadel races were under attack by the recently discovered species known as the Rachni. After almost a century of war, the Salarians had the idea to uplift a new species, the Krogan, to aid them. They provided the Krogan with new technology and a new homeworld in order to have the new race, who were incredibly resilient and bred rapidly to fight the Rachni. It worked. The Krogan drove the Rachni back mercilessly, and after the 200 years, the Rachni were finally declared extinct. However, the Krogan, being a relatively primitive race who were raised to space-faring status before they could do it themselves, went mad with power after the war, conquering inhabited worlds as their own and destroying anything in their path. After much deliberation, the Salarians created a biological weapon known as a genophage that drastically reduced the Krogan birth rate, crippling the Krogan numbers and effectively halting their rebellion. The Salarians are the spy masters of the galaxy, but their penchant for subtlety goes beyond military purposes. Salarians as a whole prefer to find the best way through any situation, rather than the fastest. This makes them highly effective information brokers and talented diplomats. They take pride in being the very best when it comes to information and intelligence, and having been so for several millennia. Salarian names are handled in a similar manner to Quarians, although a bit more complicated. Their name consists of, in this order, homeworld, nation city, district, clan name, and given name. Unlike Quarians, Salarians don't tend to go by their full name outside of their own race, likely due to their unwieldy nature. Instead, they generally either go by their clan name or given name. So just for fun, let's throw in an example of a full Salarian name. My example is going to be Bel Analeus from Port Hanshan in Mass Effect 1. So bear with me on this, but his full name is Runadril Garn Swa Folsum Karaten Na Idai Bel Analeus. So yeah, that's quite a mouthful. On the surface, Salarians don't seem to stand out much compared to some other races. That is exactly what they want you to think. Mordin Solus and Major Kirahei would be the obvious two Salarian mentions. Dr. Mordin Solus is a former STG operative and expert geneticist. He is recruited on Omega trying to find a cure for the bioengineered plague. After stopping the Vulture and curing the plague, Mordin will join Shepard's team and help to find a way to gain an advantage against the Collectors. In Mass Effect 3, Mordin is also seen on the Salarian homeworld of Surkesh and plays a massive part in curing the genophage in Mass Effect 3, where he will sacrifice himself distributing the cure from the Shroud. I mean, it did have to be him, someone else might have got it wrong. My final mention is Captain Major Kirahei. He's more of a minor character, as he is only seen on a maximum of 2 missions within the trilogy. Kirahei is a high-ranking STG officer and is first met on the planet Thermire, where he was tasked to investigate the planet for suspicious activity. I'll give Kirahei this much: he knows how to be inspirational, and is also very strategical. If Shepard delays the Geth enough, Kirahei and other STG Salarians will survive the mission. He will also briefly be seen on Surkesh, like with Mordin in Mass Effect 3, before Cerberus ruined the reunion, that is. He was smart, he held the line, and I'm sure we all wish we got to know him a little better.
You all know the mission and what is at stake. I have come to trust each of you with my life, but I have also heard murmurs of discontent. I share your concerns. We are trained for espionage. We would be legends, but the records are sealed. Glory in battle is not our way. Think of our heroes. A silent step who defeated a nation with a single shot. Or the ever-alert who kept armies at bay with hidden facts. These giants do not seem to give us solace here, but they are not all that we are. Before the network, there was the fleet. Before diplomacy, there were soldiers. Our influence stopped the Rachni, but before that, we held the line. Our influence stopped the Krogan, but before that, we held the line. Our influence will stop Saren. In the battle today, we will hold the line.
We'd love to hear what you think of the Salarians in the comments below. As always, if you learned something new or enjoyed this video, then why not give it a like to show your support on the video. And if you are a lover of Mass Effect, then why not put that subscribe button to use. And until the next video, goodbye everyone.